Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. My hand shot out and I caught Mia's phone mid-buzz. I'm Josh, 24, and I swear it was pure reflex. The screen lit up with a message that made my throat lock. Mia lunged, nails out like I'd grabbed a live wire. "Give it," she snapped, already reaching for my wrist. I shifted my grip, not even trying to be a hero. The text preview stayed open, bright and impossible to ignore. It read, "Proud of you for waiting, babe," and my brain stalled. You know that moment when your face betrays you first? Mine did that thing where it goes blank and guilty. Mia saw it and her smile turned sharp in 1 second. She didn't ask what I saw, she asked what it looked like on me. "Josh," she warned, voice low, "do not ruin this." She said it like I was holding a match near gasoline. I handed the phone back, but I couldn't unsee that line. Her thumb hovered over the screen like she could erase time. She typed fast, shoulders tense, then looked up too casual. "I need you to be normal," she whispered like that was doable. I tried to nod, but it came out stiff and stupid. Then her phone buzzed again and she flinched like it hurt. I didn't mean to stare, but I did anyway. She angled the screen away, almost defensive, almost practiced. Her eyes flicked to my face, checking for damage. That's when I knew this wasn't a cute couple thing. She walked toward the hallway, then stopped and turned back. "Just act like you didn't see anything, okay?" Her voice cracked on the last word, and that shook me. Mia never cracked, so why now? I followed her, not close, just enough to not lose her. She pushed her door almost shut, then left it open a slit. Like she wanted me to hear but not see. That tiny gap felt like an invitation and a warning. Her phone lit up again and she answered on speaker. "Hey," she breathed, sweet and light like a switch flipped. I heard a guy's laugh, warm and dumb, like he trusted her. Mia glanced at the door gap and her gaze pinned me there. "I miss you," she cooed, pacing like she needed motion. She kept her voice soft, but her hands shook at her sides. I stood outside, frozen, trying to be invisible. Then she said my name just once, like a test. "Josh is here," she added, casual, too casual to be real. I heard the guy respond, friendly, like I was a teammate. Mia's eyes narrowed at me through the crack. She was daring me to ruin her in front of him. I backed away slow because I didn't trust my mouth. My thoughts were loud, but none of them were smart. Part of me wanted to laugh because it felt ridiculous. The other part wanted to throw up because it felt planned. A minute later, her door swung open hard. She stepped out, phone still at her ear, then ended the call. Her face went blank like she'd powered down. She held the phone out to me, screen facing inward like evidence. "Look at me," she ordered, and I did. Her eyes were glassy, but her posture stayed mean. "I need you quiet," she said, each word pressed flat. Then she leaned closer, and her voice dropped into a threat. "If you say one thing, I'll say 10 about you." I blinked because that came out of nowhere. I hadn't even spoken, and she was already swinging first. My chest tightened and I hated how fast fear showed up. "What are you talking about?" My voice sounded wrong. Mia lifted her chin, like she'd already decided I was guilty. "You don't want him thinking you're some creep," she shot back. The way she said him made it feel like he mattered more. I swallowed, trying to keep my face steady. I wasn't scared of the guy, not really. I was scared of how quick Mia got cruel. It made me wonder what else she could do. She shoved the phone into her pocket and exhaled hard. "Just be normal," she repeated like a prayer and a command. Then she smiled, and it didn't reach her eyes at all. That fake smile was the first real thing I'd seen. My phone vibrated in my hand and I almost dropped it. A new contact request popped up, name only, no photo. "Ethan." And under it, one line that made my pulse spike, "Hey man, Mia talks about you a lot." Mia slammed her door, then cracked it again fast. "Volume down," she hissed, eyes cutting toward the hall. I lifted both hands like I was surrendering. She shut it harder and the latch clicked like a warning. I stepped back, then my own phone chimed again. That new request sat there, waiting for my stupid thumb. I didn't accept it yet because I felt like a traitor. Then Mia's voice rose through the door and I stopped breathing. "Babe, I get it," she chirped, too bright to trust. The guy answered, calm, like he thought this was simple. I couldn't make every word out, but I caught the tone. It sounded like rules were being handed down, not shared. Mia paced and her footsteps kept cutting off mid-step. That meant she was listening hard, not just talking. I leaned closer without thinking, and I hated myself for it. Her next laugh came out sharp like a sage. He was faking air. Then I heard him say it clear as a slap. "I'm saving myself," his voice said, steady and proud. Mia made a little sound like that impressed her. My stomach tightened because I knew where this was going. He kept talking and he didn't sound creepy at first. He sounded earnest, which somehow made it worse. "I only date girls who are saving themselves too." Mia went silent for a beat, and I waited for honesty. Same. Mia breath soft and sweet like a vow. She didn't hesitate, not even half a second. She leaned into the lie like she practiced it. My face went hot and I backed away like I'd been caught. I walked to the kitchen and gripped the counter edge. Not for drama, just so my hands would behave. You ever feel your brain split into two people? One wants to intervene, the other wants to disappear. I told myself it was none of my business. That felt convenient, so I didn't trust it. I told myself Mia was harmless, just messy. Then her door opened and she stared straight at me. She stepped out, phone down, smile turned on like a mask. "You hungry?" she asked, too casual and too quick. I shook my head because any word felt dangerous. Her gaze slid over my face like she was scanning for leaks. "You heard that?" she said, not a question at all. I tried to play dumb and my voice wobbled anyway. "He's just old school," I muttered and hated myself instantly. Mia's mouth twitched like she enjoyed my discomfort. She moved closer until I had to lean back. "Listen," she whispered, eyes hard now, "I need this." I swallowed, and the memory I didn't want surfaced anyway. I'd heard her laugh about hookups before, so this was a lie. Mia raised a finger like she was giving directions. "You don't know him," she pressed, "he's serious about it." I wanted to ask why she picked him then. Instead I nodded and felt smaller with every nod. Her phone pinged and she checked it fast. A grin flashed, then vanished like she caught herself smiling. "He wants to meet you," she said, trying to sound normal. My pulse kicked up because that felt like a trap. "I'm not your chaperone," I snapped, then regretted it. Mia's eyes widened, then narrowed into something mean. "You will be nice," she said, each word clipped and cold. Then she added, "or I'll make you sorry," and held my stare. I laughed, but it came out dry and ugly. "Why are you threatening me?" I asked, voice low. Mia shrugged like she was bored, which felt rehearsed. "That's just how this works," she replied and walked away. An hour later, my phone buzzed with a message request. I accepted it before I could talk myself out. Ethan typed fast, polite, like he wanted approval. His last line hit me hard. "Mia says you're basically family." I stared at that word because it made me complicit. I typed back something safe, like "nice to meet you." Ethan replied with a thumbs up, then sent another text. "Can I ask you something real quick?" he wrote, and I froze. I didn't answer, and the typing bubble appeared again. "I just want to know she's serious," he wrote next. I could almost hear him swallowing before he hit send. Then the final message arrived. She told me she's never done anything. Mia shoved a sticky note into my palm, then clenched my fingers around it. "Memorize this," she snapped, eyes hard like flint. I opened my hand and saw 3 bullet points. None of them matched anything I'd ever heard her claim before, so why now? She paced 2 steps, then spun back at me. "If he asks, you met my last boyfriend once," she insisted. I stared at her because that never happened. Mia lifted her chin like reality was negotiable, and I felt my patience fray. "I'm not doing scripts," I muttered, voice low and tight. Mia's smile flashed, then dropped like a curtain. "You're doing this," she replied, tapping my chest with one finger. Her nail pressed through my shirt, and I didn't move an inch. My phone lit up with a new message, and my stomach turned over. Ethan wrote, "Coffee today, quick hello, Mia's excited." I typed nothing because any reply felt like consent. Then Mia snatched my phone and read over my shoulder, like I belonged to her plan. "You're coming," she decided, already texting him back for me. I grabbed the phone, but she twisted away and kept tapping. The message sent before I could stop it. She beamed at the screen like she'd just won a game, and I wanted to throw it. "You can't do that," I hissed, stepping into her space. Mia shrugged, all innocence, like I was overreacting. "Relax," she breathed, "he likes you already." That was the problem. He trusted me, and she knew it. An hour later, a knock hit our door like a deadline. Mia jolted, then smoothed her face in one quick motion. She whispered, "Smile, like that fixed anything." I didn't move fast enough and she yanked the door open anyway, too wide. Ethan stood there holding a small bag, shoulders square and polite. He looked at me first like he wanted my approval. Then he looked past me, searching for Mia. That glance told me everything. He already needed reassurance, and he hadn't even entered. Mia slid in beside him and hooked her arm through his. "Babe," she sang, voice sugary, "you made it." Ethan nodded, then offered his hand to me, careful and formal. His grip was steady, but his eyes kept flicking between us, like he was measuring. "You guys seem close," Ethan said, half joking, half checking. Mia laughed too loud, then squeezed his arm harder. I forced a smile because silence felt like sabotage. Ethan's eyebrows lifted a little, and I saw the first crack of doubt right there. Mia moved us toward the couch like she was staging a photo. "Tell him the thing," she urged me, eyes wide and pleading. "What thing?" I asked, and my voice came out sharper. Mia blinked fast, then pointed at the sticky note in my hand, and I felt played. Ethan leaned forward, elbows on his knees, trying to stay casual. "So," he started, then cleared his throat, "Mia told you about my values." He said values like it was fragile glass. Mia nodded hard, too hard, and her smile stayed frozen like glue. "Yeah," I managed, staring at the floor for 1 second. Ethan's face brightened, relieved, and that made me feel worse. "I've never done anything," he added, almost proud, almost scared. Then he looked at Mia, waiting for her to mirror it, and I held my breath. Mia tilted her head and gave a little giggle. "Same," she chirped, like repeating a catchphrase. Ethan's shoulders dropped, and he exhaled like he'd been bracing. I watched his relief land, and it felt like watching someone step onto thin ice. He turned back to me, smile tight but hopeful. "You've known her longer," he said. "She's always been like that, right?" Not a question, not quite a statement either. Mia's hand found my thigh and pinched once, a silent warning with teeth. I tried to dodge without lying, and it came out awkward. "She's intense," I said, choosing the smallest truth available. Mia laughed over me, "Too quick, he means sweet." Ethan chuckled, but his eyes didn't laugh, and he kept staring at my mouth. He asked another question, softer this time. "You'd tell me if she wasn't serious, right?" My pulse hammered because he was handing me a loaded gun. Mia's nails dug into my leg again, sharper now, and I fought not to flinch. "I don't get in the middle," I said, forcing my voice steady. Ethan nodded like he understood, but his jaw tightened anyway. Mia finally let go, then patted my knee like I was a pet. That fake kindness made my skin crawl, and Ethan watched it happen. Mia jumped up too fast and started talking about nothing. She told a story that didn't go anywhere, then corrected herself mid-sentence. Ethan smiled politely, but his eyes narrowed at the mismatch. I could see him counting contradictions, and Mia kept tossing more. At one point, she slipped and mentioned an anniversary by accident. Ethan blinked, then sat up straighter, interest turning sharp. Mia froze for half a beat, then laughed like it was a joke. Her laugh landed wrong, and Ethan's smile didn't return, not fully. He looked at me again, quieter now. "Did she mean like our anniversary?" he asked, careful and slow. I opened my mouth, then closed it because anything was a landmine. Mia cut in fast, "He's so dramatic," and squeezed Ethan's hand too late. Ethan's phone buzzed, and he glanced at it without reading. He set it face down like he didn't want distractions. That move hit me hard because it felt like a decision. He wasn't here for small talk anymore, he was here to verify. He stood up, still smiling, still polite, still tense. "I should go," he said, eyes locked on Mia, "early day tomorrow." Mia popped up too, voice bright again, "I'll walk you out." Ethan looked at me one last time, and his eyes asked the question he wouldn't say yet. The door closed behind them, and the silence felt thick. I took one step toward my room, hoping to vanish. Mia turned on me instantly, face twisted with panic and anger. "What did you do?" she whispered, and her hands shook like she'd already decided I ruined her. Mia grabbed my sleeve and dragged me into the hallway. Her eyes looked wild, like she'd lost the map. "Give me your laptop," she blurted, not even pretending. I pulled back on instinct because that demand felt criminal. "What is this?" I asked, keeping my voice low. She pressed her palms to her temples, then snapped them down. "Your account is connected," she said, words tripping over each other. Then she added, "I need you to erase something," and my stomach sank. I didn't move, and she noticed immediately. Mia stepped closer, blocking the path to my room. "This is not a debate," she warned like she owned my choices. I stared at her, waiting for the part where it made sense. She shoved her phone toward my face, screen already O. Pen. A shared folder sat there, and I recognized the name. She jabbed it with her thumb, hard enough to shake her hand. "Delete the whole thing," she ordered, and that's when I got scared. I took a breath and tried to keep it calm. "Why would you even need this?" I asked, still too gentle. Mia's mouth twisted like I'd insulted her intelligence. "Because he's digging," she snapped, and my chest tightened. I unlocked my laptop, fingers stiff like they weren't mine. Mia hovered over me, too close, counting every click. "Fast," she whispered, like speed could fix consequences. I opened the folder and my throat went dry. At first it looked harmless, just old photos and clips. Then I saw a thumbnail that made my face heat up. Nothing graphic, but intimate enough to tell a story. Mia saw my reaction and hissed, "Don't look, just erase." I scrolled because I'm stubborn and also stupid. Dates popped up beside each file, neat and unforgiving. Some were from months ago, not some distant past. I felt the lie lock into place, and it was bigger than I thought. Mia leaned in and grabbed my wrist again. "Delete it now," she insisted, voice tight and desperate. I yanked my hand away, and the chair scraped loud. She flinched at the sound, like the walls might report her. "You were going to make me part of this," I muttered. Mia's eyes flicked away, then back, and her jaw set. "You already are," she shot back, almost proud of it. That answer hit me hard because she wasn't wrong. My screen flashed a notification, and Mia snapped toward it. A message request, Ethan again, this time longer. Mia read it out loud before I could stop her. "Something feels off," she mocked, then laughed, and it sounded cruel. "Stop," I said, and my voice finally carried weight. Mia blinked like she forgot I could push back. "He's being dramatic," she scoffed, then pointed at the delete button. Her fingertip hovered there, waiting for my obedience. I didn't press it, and the silence turned sharp. Mia's stare went flat, like all panic had hardened. "Do you want him to hate you?" she asked, soft and poisonous. I swallowed because she wasn't even aiming at the truth now. "You're threatening me again," I said, and my hands shook. Mia shrugged, like threats were normal conversation. "Call it whatever," she replied, eyes locked on mine. Then she added, "I can ruin your life too," and I believed her. My laptop pinged again, this time a direct call. Ethan's name filled the screen, and my heart jumped. Mia's head snapped toward it like a predator hearing prey. She reached for the keyboard, and I slapped her hand away. She froze, then smiled like she'd just learned something. "You better answer," she murmured, voice calm in a scary way. I stared at the green button, feeling like I stood on a ledge. Then I hit accept because hiding felt worse. "Hey," Ethan started, voice rough like he hadn't slept. I kept my tone neutral, trying not to sound guilty. "What's up?" I asked, and it came out too careful. Mia crouched beside me, listening like this was her trial. Ethan paused, then rushed forward anyway. "I don't want to be weird," he said, words tumbling fast. "I just need to know if I'm being played." Mia's nails pressed into my shoulder, warning me without words. I stared at the folder on my screen, still open. A date sat there like a receipt, impossible to argue. My mouth opened, then shut because I felt trapped. Ethan waited on the line, and the silence stretched heavy. "Mia's great," I managed, and I hated myself instantly. Ethan didn't relax, not even a little. "Okay," he said, voice tight, "then why is she dodging questions?" Mia's grip tightened like she could squeeze truth out of me. I shifted my shoulder, trying to break free without making noise. Ethan kept going, and his confidence cracked mid-sentence. "She asked me what counts," he admitted, almost whispering it. That confession landed wrong, and I felt my stomach turn. Mia leaned toward the mic, ready to jump in. I covered it with my hand, and she glared like I'd slapped her. Ethan heard the muffled movement and went quiet. Then he asked, slow and careful, "Are you alone right now?" I looked at Mia, and she looked back, smiling thin. I didn't answer fast enough, and Ethan noticed. "Put me on speaker," he said, and his voice shook. Mia mouthed, "Do it," like she wanted control back. I didn't put him on speaker, and Mia's face darkened. Ethan exhaled hard, like he'd reached the end of patience. "Man," he said, "just tell me one thing." His next words hit like a punch. "Has she ever been with anyone?" Mia's eyes widened, then narrowed into pure anger. She pointed at the screen, at the delete option, then at me. Her lips formed two silent words, "Fix it." Ethan kept breathing on the line, and I felt time running out. I glanced at the dates again and my throat burned. I thought about lying, and it tasted like poison already. About telling the truth and pictured Mia exploding. Then Ethan whispered, almost broken, "Please don't let me be stupid." Mia leaned close enough that I could feel her breath. "If you betray me," she mouthed, "you're dead to me." I didn't know if she meant socially or worse. My finger hovered over the mute button, and I finally made a choice. I hit mute, then slid the laptop away from her reach. Mia's eyes flashed and her hand shot toward the screen. I stood up so fast the chair skittered back. She stared at me like I'd just picked a side. "You're not doing this," she mouthed, almost silent. I pointed at the hallway, then at the front door. Mia shook her head hard, then jabbed a finger at my chest. Her lips formed one word, "traitor," and I felt it land. I unmuted and kept my voice low on purpose. "Ethan, are you near?" I asked, breathing through my teeth. His answer came fast, like he never stopped moving. "Parking lot," he said, and my pulse jumped. "Stay there," I told him, forcing each word steady. Mia tried to grab the laptop, and I swatted her hand away. She recoiled like I'd burned her, then her face hardened. "Don't you dare," she snarled and stepped in front of the door. I didn't push past her because I'm not that guy. I slid sideways and reached for my keys anyway. Mia slapped them out of my hand, and they clattered loud. Her eyes glittered like she wanted me to swing back. "Move," I said, and my voice sounded unfamiliar. Mia laughed once, short and mean. "You're really choosing him," she spat, and her cheeks went blotchy. That question hit me because I still wasn't sure. I bent down and scooped the keys, keeping my gaze down. Mia hovered over me, waiting for a flinch. I stood up and didn't look at her because eye contact felt dangerous. Then she whispered close, "I will bury you," and I believed it. I pulled the door open, and she lunged to block it. Her shoulder hit the frame, and she acted like I hurt her. "You're scaring me," she called out, loud enough for neighbors. My stomach dropped because I saw the play forming. I stepped back with both hands visible like a cop show. "Mia, stop," I said, calm enough to sound fake. She kept her voice high, eyes wide, playing helpless. Then her phone lit up again, and her act faltered for half a second. I slipped into the hallway and pulled the door shut. Her voice hit the wood right away, rapid and furious. I walked fast because standing still felt like surrender. My thumb hovered over Ethan's contact, and I hated how sweaty it was. I reached the stairwell and heard footsteps from below. Ethan came up 2 steps at a time, jaw clenched hard. He stopped when he saw my face, like he already knew. "Tell me," he demanded, and his voice cracked mid-word. I held up one finger, then took a breath. "You're not crazy," I said, and it felt like a confession. Ethan's eyes flared, then narrowed, trying to stay composed. He nodded once, like he was bracing for impact. "I saw dates," I continued, throat raw, "and they don't match her story." Ethan blinked hard, then stared past me at the apartment door. His mouth opened, then shut, like his pride fought his fear. "Has she," he started, then swallowed, "has she been with someone?" I didn't want to say it because saying makes it real. "Yes," I answered, and my voice came out thin. Ethan's shoulders dropped, like something inside him snapped loose. He took one slow step toward the door, and I knew this was happening. He knocked once, not gentle, not violent, just final. Mia yanked the door open with a bright smile ready. That smile died when she saw Ethan's face. Her eyes flicked to me, then back to him, calculating fast. "Babe," she started, "too sweet, too late." Ethan walked past her without touching her. He stood in the living room and pointed at me. "Ask him," he said, and his hand shook. Mia laughed, trying to turn it into a joke. "You're listening to him," she said, voice airy and fake. Ethan didn't move, and that stillness scared me. Mia's eyes slid to the hallway again, like she wanted an exit. "Are you a virgin?" Ethan asked, plain and brutal. Mia's mouth opened, then she switched tactics instantly. "Why would you even ask that?" she snapped, angry now. Ethan nodded like he expected that dodge, and his stare stayed locked. "Because you promised," he said, voice low and wrecked. Mia crossed her arms, then lifted her chin higher. "I didn't lie," she insisted, and her eyes darted at me again. That glance felt like a knife being passed under the table. Ethan turned to me and his voice went quiet. "Show me," he said, and his hands hovered like he feared the proof. Mia stepped forward fast. "No," she barked, sharp as glass. Ethan didn't flinch, and that scared her more than yelling. I opened my laptop, fingers clumsy, and pulled up the folder. Mia lunged and I blocked her with my forearm. She slapped my arm, then glared like I hit her first. "Ethan, watch that move," and his face tightened with disgust. I angled the screen toward him, keeping it steady. Ethan leaned in, eyes scanning dates, jaw working. He didn't touch anything, like he feared leaving prints. Mia kept talking fast, spinning words into noise, trying to drown the evidence. "That's old," she insisted, voice rising. "That's not what it looks like." Ethan straightened up, breathing hard through his nose. "You told me you never did anything," he said, each word clipped. Mia snapped back, "You said you were a virgin too," and the room went still. Ethan blinked like she slapped him with that line. He looked at her, then at me, then down at the floor. His voice dropped to a whisper, almost ashamed. "I was," he said, and Mia's face tightened like she'd lost control. Her expression shifted into pure anger, aimed straight at me. "You did this," she snapped, finger pointed, eyes blazing. I wanted to defend myself, but it sounded weak even in my head. Ethan backed toward the door, and his breathing turned ragged. Mia grabbed his sleeve, desperate now, voice pleading. "Don't leave," she begged, and her tone finally sounded real. Ethan pulled his arm free, gentle but firm. He didn't look at her when he said it. "You used me," and that cut deeper than yelling. He stepped into the hall and kept walking, no pause. I followed 2 steps behind because staying felt unsafe. Mia stood in the doorway, watching us like prey leaving range. Then she hurled my name into the hallway, loud enough to stain the walls. I didn't turn around because I knew what I'd see. Ethan stopped at the bottom landing and wiped his face fast. He shook his head once, like he hated himself for caring. Then he walked out into the night, shoulders tight, and I let him go. I went back upstairs alone, keys heavy in my hand. Mia had locked the door and her voice came through it, calm now. "You're not coming back in," she called like she was evicting trash. I stood there hearing my own breathing, and I realized she meant it. I slept on a friend's couch that night and felt pathetic. In the morning, I came back with my friend beside me. Mia opened the door and stared like I was a stranger. She slid my stuff into the hallway, then shut the door without a word. I stood over that pile and felt stupidly hollow. Part of me wanted to apologize, which is insane. Part of me wanted to laugh at how fast she flipped. Then I noticed the sticky note on top, torn in half like a tiny flag of war.